We are keeping an eye on Joint Base Andrews there because, again, any moment President Biden set to leave for Tulsa, Oklahoma. The president heading there to mark the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa Race Massacre. And today's date and the president's trip are highlighting this critical moment in American history, especially when it comes to racial justice. When Black Wall Street burned to the ground 100 years ago, so did the wealth of an entire community, many thriving Black-owned businesses. They never reopened. J. Kavin Ross's great-grandfather owned one of those businesses. Ross recently telling the Wall Street Journal, quote, "A freeway stands on top of my possible inheritance. Who is to say what Isaac Evet Zulu's lounge would be today if it hadn't been for a so-called riot?" J. Kavin Ross joins me now. He is in Tulsa, Oklahoma on this day. First, I'm hoping you can give our viewers and our listeners on Sirius Satellite Radio a better idea of who your great-grandfather was and what his business meant to him in that community.
Well, you know, it's gone back all the way from Texas, came up from Texas, I believe in Denton, Texas, and came his way to here to Tulsa. He would, like many others, would have his businesses along the Greenwood community. They would have a different, you know, it's really something. I mean, I've been up all night, so excuse me, been running around. My great-grandfather's place was right there at where the mural is, at Cameron and Greenwood Avenue. It was just like a little juke joint. It wasn't nothing fancy, but it was home. And it's hard to tell, because some of the documentation are missing as I'm doing my research. But I know that he was very angry during the time of the riot and after the riot. And all kinds of things happened. He lost his property and all kinds of, it's just a hard pill to swallow. I'm getting teared up now because the fact, you know, that should have been my inheritance. And a freeway sits on top of it. I'm like many other people who are finding out what happened so many years ago, and nothing has really changed. And so I understand this anger. I understand the anger of my great-grandmother, who never talked about it. It was a beautiful time back in those days. Everybody knew each other. Everybody's connected. And so as I'm doing my research, I'm finding that he would leave Oklahoma, never to return, and live somewhere in Fresno, California. And the only thing I can remember, the stories that my grandmother had told me, is that they were, he had some very, I'm getting tongue-tied, I'm getting tired.
Take your time, take your time.
But it was good, he was doing good.
Yeah.
This is a very emotional time for me. It's very hard to talk at this time.
No, Jack, I can only imagine, Mr. Ross. I think we should tell folks, though, that you are in a cemetery there in Tulsa that's believed to be the site of a mass grave of victims of the massacre. You're there with some archaeologists, yes, as I understand it, and others who are looking for remains. Tell us about that work that you've been a part of.
Well, I must admit, when we dug 15 feet down the ground in July in that section site, look down in that trench. It was very powerful. And to look up at the sky from that grave, I can only imagine laying in a trench, dying, knowing that you're going to die, and you're just looking up. It's heartbreaking. It was a very emotional time.
What can the state of Oklahoma, what should the state of Oklahoma or these United States of America, what should be done to make it right?
I think let's start at number one. Now, we can't change that awful bill, Senate Bill number 1, which was a Jim Crow law, a racist Jim Crow law that separated the state by races. I think what they need to do is start with the original final report, those 5 recommendations. Let's do those 5. That's a start. Let's begin the conversation. Let's do that now, because anything else everybody is not going to be on anybody's side. It had to be transparency. It got to be totally transparency. So all of us are learning at the same time. And so I know we need to write some better laws than the ones that we keep creating over and over again that happen to be to further separate us. You know, if anything that this state of Oklahoma need to be, it should be purple. How about that? Let's get along. It's one Tulsa here. Everybody's fighting right about now. Everybody wants to claim credit right now. No, let's sit down and let's talk this out. We tired. I'm tired.
J. Kevin Ross, thank you for your time, sir. And I sorry for your loss. Thank you for your time. We will be right back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.